A lot of fans have been calling for Lloris to come out of the team for a number of weeks now, but now they get their wish. And the question is, can Fraser Forster step up and fill the void that Hugo is going to leave? And to be honest, it's mad to me because all I'm seeing over social media today is, how are we going to cope without Lloris? How are we going to cope this? Lloris is out. What's going on? And all I heard over social media over the last couple of weeks is, Lloris needs to come out of the team for Fraser Forster. I mean, I've said all along I don't want Fraser Forster to take over Lloris because there's no doubt in my mind that Lloris is a much better goalkeeper than Fraser Forster. But it's good to get your opinions. Let's start with Sean. Can Fraser Forster fill that void? Can he step up?
Yeah, of course he can. Of course, like I don't remember in the games that he's played, he's made any real clangers. I know I think his debut or his main 90 minutes was against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup when we lost 2-0, but I don't remember the goals that we conceded in that game being anything down to him. I thought he put in a good shift. In the 2 or 3 times, I think we've seen him 3 times this season. I think he's done well on every occasion, and he hasn't shown any of the vulnerabilities that Hugo Lloris does. I don't think there's a debate as to who is the better instinctive goalkeeper. Hugo Lloris, the less time he has to think about what he has to do, the better he is. When he gets put under pressure and he has a moment to panic, he usually panics, or he has the ability and the propensity to panic. And I think that, that's been a problem. He hasn't made any mistakes in the last couple of games, but had this injury happened the game after the Arsenal, or the day after, or 2 days after the Arsenal performance, where he was technically responsible for not only dropping the ball in the back of the net, but for launching the ball up the field when no one was on the end of it, and then creating that ability for Arsenal to pivot. Everyone was furious with him after that game. And if the next day he was down for 8 weeks, people would be a little bit more, or maybe they wouldn't, but I would expect them to be a little bit more like, oh, this isn't a problem. But the same people that are now panicking that we don't have him, you're right, Ben, 100%. I've been seeing it on Twitter. I find it hilarious. Be careful what you wish for. Did you really want him to be substituted, or are you now panicking because you don't have any trust in Forster, but you were happy for them to come in? I find the kind of flip-flop hypocrisy of that narrative a little bit, I find it hilarious. For me personally, I'll stick to my guns. I didn't think he was good enough. He shouldn't have been playing against Fulham. He's done okay in the last couple of games. I think Forster's going to be just fine. And the only concern for me is that if something happens to Forster, if he gets drawn into a challenge like on a through ball and takes someone's legs and there's a red card, then you've got Brandon Austin behind him, and then you've got real problems. So I worry a little bit about the fact that we don't have Lloris as backup, but I'm more than happy to see Forster come in and see what he's got about him. I just hope that Forster can take the opportunity and grab the ball with both hands. Last season at Southampton, he was a really good goalkeeper. So I don't know why there's the panic, and I don't know why people are changing their minds so quickly on what they were asking for just a few short weeks ago. I think he's going to be fine. I've got no problem with it. I just hope that he doesn't get injured or doesn't do anything silly when he's in the team.
In the defence of maybe some people on social media that have changed their mind, I would say that people that want Hugo Lloris to come out of the team, I don't think they wanted him to come out of the team for the foreseeable future for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe just one or two games here. So I think that's why the panic is, because we've got so many big games in this time. Champions League, FA Cup, Premier League. Things are starting to change a little bit. So I can understand the panic a little bit. But look, we got to put our faith in Fraser right now. But Ash, what are you thinking?
It's a bit of a funny one for me. I feel like it's the wrong time because Lloris has just got the last three games we started to pick up clean sheets. I think the form is slightly picked up. It's just like, timing, like you said, FA Cup, Champions League. It's just timing. It's timing. And I was iffy about the whole Fraser signing in the first place because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when he was at Southampton, he wasn't their number one goalkeeper.
He was in a kind of fight between him and McCarthy and Forster. I think last season Forster kind of won that battle, but he has been a long-term keeper for Southampton without really cementing that number one spot until last season.
I don't know. I just remember he made a lot of mistakes and a lot of Southampton fans were against him, a bit like what's happening now with Lloris. But I digress. I just think with my problem with the whole situation, everyone says, it's like Spurs, for me, have to play out from the back. And I'm not too sure if Fraser can play out from the back.
Can you?
And that was the argument. Can Hugo?
No. The answer was no to that.
No, I don't know. Like, I know Hugo's made a few mistakes, but okay, let's look at the Man City game. He had to play out from the back. And I'm talking about when we're in possession, when we're in play, and Hugo comes off his line and he's like the next man in play. He's like one of our defenders, and he can't, like, there was a statistic I looked at, and he's like in the top 3 when it comes into playing out from the back in terms of like delivering the ball to your wing backs or your centre backs in midfield. His accuracy is actually not that bad, and actually playing out from the back. So in terms of that, I think when I saw Fraser Forster, I can't remember what game it was, but I'm pretty sure I saw Eric Dyer taking a kick when it was short. Like, I know. Like, I think we were instructed even when Fraser Forster was in goal to go long and not play out from the back. And I'm scared that if we play out long from the back, you're in a stage where you're giving up possession quite easily, and the opposition could get the ball back, and that puts more pressure back on our defence when we don't have the ball. The reason why modern day football has changed and everyone uses their goalkeeper playing out from the back is because it gives you more possession, and it gives you more chance to build attacks from the back. And I think Conte's system relies on that quite a bit. So that's what my concerns were with Fraser. When it comes to corners, I think he's a more commanding keeper. He's bigger. He can take the ball out of the air. He's got safe hands. Comes to saves and penalty saves especially. He's just as good as Lloris. So when it comes to actually goalkeeping, actually saving the ball, like I've got no problems. I've got no issues with him. But footwork, I'm just skeptical. I just got a question mark. That's my thing. Do you know what I mean? And I know Lloris as well. He has been suspect this season, especially because he does take a little bit longer on the ball. When he does take a touch, he takes 2 seconds, and that's all it takes to kind of close the gap on a press. But when you're a goalkeeper, when you make a mistake, it's highlighted tenfold. And that's what's happened, because we've made, was it 7 chances? Was it 7 errors or 6 errors?
Lloris has made 4 of them.
And Lloris has made 4 of them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
and 6 points cost for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I do understand the why people wanted to see him in, but I'm just a bit skeptical. Like, time will tell whether we can play out the back with him. Yeah, and that's my argument, to be fair.
Leeds just scored, by the way, in the first minute of the game. 1-0 against Manchester
United. Come on! Well, I don't know. Are we celebrating this or not?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
of course we are. Yeah, definitely so. Yeah.
Why not? We're challenging with Man United.
We're challenging for Arsenal because Man City are dropping away. We're going to come up. We're coming.
Do you think Man City are going to get? Do you think their points are going to get deducted? Do you think that's a real thing?
It won't be this season. I don't think. I don't think it'll be this season.
I think they're in a hell of a lot of trouble. But I don't know.
What happens to Juventus? So Juventus, did they not get points deducted this season though?
Yeah, they've already had 15 points deducted.
So then, why would it be different for City then?
Because it's a longer process. Juventus had been under investigation for so long. There was a trial and everything, and they were eventually found guilty.
You say that, Sim, but the trial only happened. So they were Juventus were initially let off in April for the first set of charges. They were charged again in December, and they were found guilty they were charged in November, found guilty in late December, and the punishment was dropped immediately. So there is the outside charge. It depends how quickly the court case comes around. But for me, I agree with Ben and Sim probably that I don't think it will happen anytime soon. But
yes, there's no point, really.
Man City are in the mud for sure right now.
Definitely deep shit. Just to get my opinion quickly on the whole Lloris and Forster situation, I'm not like distraught that he's out. I'm a bit annoyed and upset that just after a big win, everyone's on a high, everyone's buzzing. We've just kept a clean sheet against Man City. Lloris had a stable game after some shoddy form, and then he's now been ruled out for 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm just worried it'll kind of change the equilibrium of our backline. He's He's a leader. He's our captain. These are all things to consider. I do think he's a much better keeper than Forster, in my opinion. I think he's a far better shot stopper. I think he's positionally as well much better. And I think for his sweeping as well, I know he can make a mistake, but I actually think he's a bit better than Forster at that. I don't think Forster's very good at sweeping the ball from the back. I do agree with Ash. I think he's much better. I think Forster's much better coming for crosses and things like that. He's much more commanding. But I feel like it happened. I remember when Lloris was in really bad form, and then he broke his arm away at Brighton. And at the time as well, I remember a lot of people calling for Gazzaniga to have a extended run in the team, and he got that. He got 3 months in the team, and then people didn't realise what they had in Lloris before they saw 3 months of Gazzaniga. And I kind of feel like the same might happen with Forster being in goal for a couple months. Having said that, Forster, as Sean said, he's experienced in the Premier League. He's was number one for Southampton last season and did have a good season last season, albeit I think for a number of years the last season was kind of an outlier in what has been Forster's career in the Premier League, where last season he was very good, whereas he's been fairly inconsistent throughout most of his time in the Premier League, I would say. But I think he's a good influence in the dressing room, Forster. He seems to get on with a lot of the players.
We said that about Joe Hart.
Yeah, true. He never played a
game. Forster came across. I remember watching in the pre-season friendlies over in Korea. Forster came across like he was very, very happy to like bellow and to absolutely command and he was very happy to scream and shout, which is always quite I guess I don't know if it's comforting or commanding, I don't know, but I did want to ask you guys, there's a lot of tweets going around that Tottenham may or could sign Ben Foster from one Forster to another.
I saw that
as a free agent for emergency goalkeeper.
Didn't he retire though?
Yeah, he retired at the summer and look, he's without a club, but
he's got a YouTube channel as well, hasn't he?
I'm not suggesting he'd come in. I'm not suggesting he'd come in and to take over Forster's position. But is there any merit or logic to the idea of bringing him in to replace Brandon Austin, just in case something was to happen to Forster in a game where he maybe took out someone and gave away a red card and got a straight red, 3 games suspended? Do you really want Brandon Austin to go into goal? Is there any merit to that? I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, we've also got Alfie Whiteman there, and Brains keeps going on about how we should be starting Alfie Whiteman, never even mind using it as a full choice. Right. But, it's hard to say because we haven't really seen Brandon Austin or Alfie Whiteman play for the first team, so it's hard to make that decision, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I guess. Look, if Forster's, he's been the problem with him. He's been out of the game now for good 6-7 months, so he would have to get back up to speed if he was ever called upon. But if they really think an emergency loan for a few months just to have some cover in case of an injury, if that's the right way to go, then I've not got really too much against it, because I've looked. I actually did take a look at the free agents list for goalkeepers just in case, and there really is not a lot out there. So I think Foster might be the best option there.
And it's experience as well at the end of the day as well. So it's another experienced keeper that knows the league that could add, even if he doesn't start, he could help the youngsters and Alfie Whiteman, etc., Austin and all that.
And maybe he'll give us some good behind the scenes stuff as well. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. He might come on the show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get him on the show.
We'll think positive.
Daniel Levy will tell him you're not allowed to do a YouTube channel. Whatever you do, it has to be on Spurs official.
100%. Yeah. He's definitely valid on that. What do you not make of that comment? Did you see that comment about Levy?
Yeah, he did an interview for the Premier League, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, was it for the Premier League? Was it? I mean, there was nothing. I mean, what did he say? He said that we buy the best players that we can afford for this football club or something. Was that the quote?
The one I was talking about.
Revenue streams to invest in the players.
Yeah, was it that, or was he saying like he gets upset? Basically, he gets upset when Tottenham lose and.
Oh, that one. I saw that. Yeah. Well, that's just standard PR stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think everything that comes out of his mouth is usually just standard PR stuff, to be honest.
Do you reckon it was was it called GPT? Do you reckon it was one of the bots that helped to make the chat?
GPT. That's what he does. He sits there in meetings on ChatGPT. Corporate response to this. Corporate response to that.
Hey, ChatGPT is an absolute beast of a tool. If I was him, I'd be using it too.
Yeah.
Fair enough.